Just getting around. Gonna be a long day. We're just getting around. Put it in the case. Ready. Three, two, start. Not there. Live from the Crescent Moon Temple, it's the morning show with your host, Tolinar. Let's start some tea. It's time to play the music, switch all of the cameras on. It's time for the morning show, and I guess I'm on my own. We'll quickly check the chat room. There is nobody home. It's time for the morning show, and I guess I'm on my own. Let's do it. Cue camera. The host, the guest, the audience. It's what I've got to be. There's no one even watching. This all depends on me. But that's nothing unusual. It's just another day. I'm sure that I'll get through it all if I do it my own way. Double check switch settings. Everything looks good to go. One last quick mic inspection. We're okay for audio, hopefully. Pick a topic of conversation. Something that I ought to know. Modern news is too confusing. Maybe I'll play Leisure Suit Larry. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. The host, the guest, the audience, it's what I've got to be. There's nobody else out there. This all depends on me. And that's nothing unusual. It's just another day. If I want to make my life great, I have to do it my own way. The host, the guest, the audience, it's what I've got to be. I kind of lost the music for a minute there. This all depends on me. But I was off and making tea, and the tea kettle got quite loud. But that's just the way that things happen. And I'm still awake. Today on the morning show, why don't we discuss, I don't know, the concept of a perfect information puzzle. We'll talk about Tic-Tac-Toe. Another piece of chocolate. It's pretty good. Today's morning show is brought to you by the letter H and the number 2, and by viewers like me, because brother, I'm it. Just eating chocolate. There we go. Today is going to be a very special day for me. I have a 12-hour marathon stream after the morning show. Holy cow. Am I psycho? No. I'm just going to get a lot of housework done and do other things too. We're going to use a very special track by one of my favorite YouTube channels. They produce a lot of beautiful synthwave and mathematical structures and forms of listening. Well, let me see if I can find their channel real fast so that I can recommend them. It's basically a must because they're fantastic. These are my subscriptions. Oh, No Man's Sky updated. That's nice. Moving right along. Lucid Rhythms, that's the channel you want to visit. Is a channel called Lucid Rhythms. Let me put that in there. We are currently listening to Kentaro Sato and the Budapest Symphony Orchestra performing Stardew Valley, the soundtrack to my life. Good morning. Now here, this YouTube will take you to the channel. We will be listening to a 12-hour stream of a polyrhythm experiment that they aired a month ago called Lost in Space. It is a fantastic piece of generated music. I'm just going to use it as a backdrop as I get my house clean and do stuff. I probably won't be mic'd up for most of it, but you never know when I might decide to switch a mic on and start talking. You know how these things go. Oh, that was a bug. Hope I have a notification. Something happened. Oh, it's just Susu thinking one of my jokes was somewhat funny. That's nice. All right. My tea should be ready to go pretty soon, and then we'll get into our topic. Yep, today is going to be a very long, epic stream for me. I'm going to be... How to put this? I've been using the power of Overlord because it's the job that I spent so much time doing, but I have not been properly utilizing the power of a sage despite changing jobs to sage when I came out here. I know what a sage's abilities are. Sages are capable of dissolving into the now. It's a talent that is got a number of equivalents. The monk, the sage, and a couple of those other internal focus type classes are capable of focusing entirely on the now, being lost in a moment. And that makes them super good at certain things. One of those certain things that they're super good at is small tasks. And that's what I need done right now, is small tasks. I need to do some small tasks. So, we will go ahead and get onto that later on today. For now, we're going to steep some tea. Should be getting close to just about there. A couple more minutes. I'm greedy when it comes to my tea. I want a lot of tannins. I want a lot of flavor. It's okay if it's a bit bitter. Silly. Ugh. I don't want that one. Okay. Good old barnacle, nothing beats that. No one understands what I'm saying when I say that. And there's no one that needs to understand. This is a good one. I think this one is also a good one. Okay. Tea should be ready. So, what does perfect information mean? Especially in the context of strategy. So, perfect information is a concept for video games and board games and competitive games where both players are completely aware of the game state. Perfect information game is a game where you can hide nothing but your own thoughts from your opponent. They can see exactly what you've done, what you will do, up to what moves are available to you, and must try to predict what actions you will take and outpredict what your prediction of a prediction of a prediction of a. The titular example of a perfect information game in the West is chess. In the East, it's Go. These are games that are simple to play in case of Go, or relatively complex in the case of chess. Or more important, your opponent is not allowed any hidden information, which means if you're defeated, it will be on the back of skill alone. At least that's the theory. Actually, prior experience and the ability to read into traps and see what your opponent is thinking, gullibility, communication, all play a part in a chess match. And Go is entirely about ancient knowledge. How you play Go can matter more than which moves you make. That's the kind of game it is. Past that, well, what can be said? Why? Show me. I think on wish list this morning. I do a bit of shopping this morning. Tea. My favorite. Feels good. So, let's play a game. Let's play Tic-Tac-Toe. I'll start by placing a block, a circle, in the upper left corner. This is one part of a victory on the top line, the top row, the left column, and one of the diagonals. In particular, what I call the down slant, which is upper left to lower right. The up slant goes from lower left to upper right. So looking from left to right, the down slant goes down and the up slant goes up. Fair enough? So I took top left, or space 1. Now I have one part on the top solution, one part on the left solution, and one part on the down slant solution. I have made a corner opening. There are actually a very limited number of games of tic-tac-toe. And perfect information allows us to break this down. Regardless of which player goes first, there are only 3 openings in tic-tac-toe. A corner opening, a side opening, and center square. Let's work through tic-tac-toe together this morning, just to have something fun to do, shall we? Let's get a fresh piece of notebook paper. Okay. Here we go. There are 3 openings. Space 1 is the corner opening. Space 2 is the side opening. And space 5 is the middle. Now, you can rotate the board to obtain any of the other positions. So I placed in space 1, but mechanically it's identical to placing in spaces 3, 7, or 9. If I place in 2, taking a side, then that's the same as 4, 6, and 8. If I place in the middle, then that's 5. Why don't we actually start with the middle placement? Now that your opponent has a chance to respond, there's one of 2 different ways they can respond. They can take a corner, or they can take a side. Now, in the case that your opponent takes a corner, now that there are 2 pieces on the board, there are quite a few moves left. There are technically 4 different positions you can go. If you play 5 and your opponent plays, say, 9 or 1, you can place in one of the spots next to it, you can place kitty corner to it, or you can place cat's eye wall, or you can place opposite. Now, let's say we place on an adjacent wall. This generates a force. Your opponent has no choice but to block your victory. So the next move is obvious. Now from here, we're back to an open square. This is a unique board state where there are 5 different moves you can potentially make. Now, do any of them allow you to win? Well, if you go here, then no, not really. You go there, then not really. So, if your opponent plays into the corner and you play an adjacent wall, things don't necessarily get better for you. As circle, it's not an ideal move. You play into the center and your opponent plays into a corner. You can also play a corner. This forces your opponent to a specific move, which in turn forces you to a move, which forces your opponent to a move. From there, you only have one option that can potentially complete a round, and you end up in cat's eye, which is the terminology for a tie. So maybe playing the far wall will produce something other than a draw. In center, they play corner, you play a far wall. All right, your opponent again is forced to block, and in retaliation, you'll be forced to play here, which puts your opponent here. You must go there, your opponent goes there, and once again, cat's eye. Do a very specific blockchain of actions. In other words, if your opponent plays to corner after you play center, there's nothing you can do at that point to avoid a cat's eye. Whether you play adjacent, well, there's one other possibility we haven't checked out yet, and that's the opposite corner. I've avoided this move because it seems counterproductive. Like, here doesn't increase your force on your opponent at all. All it really does is waste your move. So now your opponent has the opportunity to attack. They could go here, which means you are forced to go there. And you mostly just end up at cat's eye again. So if you play to the center and your opponent plays a corner, it's a draw game. We've worked that out now. What if your opponent plays to the side? You play the center, and your opponent plays a side. Okay. Well, now you can take a neighboring corner, which forces your opponent to play here. Now you've got your opponent. So by playing a neighboring side, you force your opponent into a move. You can now play in such a way that your opponent has no choice but to allow you to win on the next round. So, if your opponent plays on the side, they have entered a weak state. This is a losing move. So now we've worked out play to the middle. It's an opportunity for your opponent to make a mistake by playing to the side, or tie the game by playing to a corner. This means the center move is extremely strong. Why don't we try opening from a corner like I originally suggested? In this case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different positions that your opponent could select. Those being your opponent deciding they want the center. We'll do that one first. This is one of the more complicated games because the moves don't force so easily. Your opponent could also take an adjacent side, or they could take the far corner, they could take the far cat's wall, or they could take an adjacent corner as opposed to the opposite corner. These are the 5 games that emerge from choosing to start in the corner. You choose to start on the side, your opponent can play again in 5 different locations. They can take an adjacent corner, they can take an adjacent side, they can play to the center. They can play to an opposite corner, or they can play mirroring you to the far wall. As we go through this process, you can see that there are only so many games. And if you work out all the possible moves of tic-tac-toe, there's basically 27 discrete games of tic-tac-toe that can be played. 27. And once you understand how every single game of tic-tac-toe works, you can create rules that will keep you from ever losing a game, provided you don't make critical mistakes. As long as you don't really mess up, you should be able to win every game of tic-tac-toe, period, without fail. Isn't that right, Kitty? Yes, Kitty knows how to win a tic-tac-toe. It's called meowing. Anyways, this is the example of a perfect information game. Let's discuss a game with imperfect information, shall we? Let's talk about Stratego. So Stratego is a game where each player has a board somewhat similar to chess, an orthogonal grid, only instead of specific shaped pieces, each piece is a banner with a number hidden on the other side. At the start of the game, you arrange your pieces, and everybody gets the same pieces in any way you want. So your opponent does not know where your powerful pieces are. Figuring this out and remembering this is all part of being a good Stratego player. Now there are other rules. Stratego is basically capture the flag. When your flag is captured, the game is over. Bombs cannot be moved. The scout can move more than one space per turn. In which case you must reveal they are the scout. Or you can move them like another piece and keep it secret that they are a scout. If you choose to initiate combat between pieces, you compare their values. The highest value piece removes the lower value. In case of a tie, both are lost. If you examine a bomb, then your piece is usually destroyed. If it's a miner examining a bomb, the bomb is removed. The miner has a power of 3. The moment someone attacks the other player's flag, the game is over and flags cannot be used to attack. The spy is special in that it can defeat your opponent's 10-piece, marshal. If a spy attacks or is attacked by a marshal, the spy instantly wins. Marshals can also be destroyed by attacking bombs. Otherwise, the spy loses against any piece except the marshal or the flag. If you cannot move any of your pieces on their turn, and you can only move a piece back and forth in the same 2 spaces 3 times in a row. you cannot move any of your pieces, you have lost the game. There are other strategic decisions that are involved in the game, but basically, the game is knowing what you don't know and how it can be used against you. It introduces complexity. But if you were to ask someone, which game is more complex, Stratego or Go? After a hard swallow, they would almost certainly answer Go. And Go is a perfect information game with incredibly simple rules. Place a stone of your color on an intersection on the board. It does not matter which intersection you pick. Continue to place stones alternating with your opponent. If at any time a collection of your stones completely surrounds a collection of your opponent's stones, those stones are removed. By surrounds, I mean no openings on any orthogonal corner. Diagonals don't matter, but if all orthogonal walls are covered by opponent pieces, then your stones are lost. Note that if there are holes in the shape in the middle, then the surrounding is not complete and the holes must be filled in order to successfully capture. However, if that hole is small, then filling your opponent's shape will result in instant capture. So, say for example, you have a shape of pieces shaped like the letter P, okay? Your opponent completely surrounds it and then finally places a piece in the middle. You've lost your stones. But if they start with the piece in the middle, they lose their stone instead. In an attempt to surround your pieces, they have become surrounded, and the move fails horribly. Now let's say you have a shape of pieces like a B. This is a double I, an immortal shape. Everything attached to this is no longer capable of being killed. Two I's means that if either hole is ever filled, it is instantly unfilled. And since the shape can no longer be surrounded, it will very slowly grow and cover the board. However, if you spend all of your time making dragons and shapes with two eyes, you will be crushed by a professional. Go is like lighting the night's sky. The rules are amazing. Such simplicity, giving rise to such incredible depth and complexity. Yeah, goopy. Oh. Well, I've pretty much discussed the idea of perfect information. So I'm going to take a decompress. We'll get ourselves around, and then the epic stream will be beginning at 9 a.m. I'll see you at that time. It's going to be a long haul, so I'm going to get about.